This week, you're going to design 3 style frames. So depending on which approach you're taking, whether that be image-based using Photoshop or illustrative using Illustrator, you're going to choose a template to download. Now, each of these templates are formatted correctly for After Effects title sequence animation. So, meaning they're 1920 by 1080 with a 16:9 aspect ratio and square pixels. There's some differences in designing and exporting your style frames from each, and I'll go over that. If you're choosing an illustrative approach, meaning you want to draw things and you have a more object-based animation plan for your title sequence, then you're going to use Illustrator. Illustrator works with artboards and layers. And so your artboard menu is down here, and you can see that it's with the layers. So each layer, right, is organized, and each artboard is a frame. You're going to design 3 style frames, one from the beginning, one from the middle, and one from the end of your title sequence. Include at least one style frame that has the title of your movie or TV show. But each of these are designed with transparent backgrounds. But in Illustrator, keep in mind, if you put nothing back there, the default export will be white. When you're finished designing, go up to File, Save As. Now you're going to want to save this as an Illustrator file, so in the Format menu, AI, right, into your project folder, because you're going to want to use this as a base file to work from as you develop your entire animation. So do yourself a favor and save it into your project folder as an AI. This week, you're going to submit a PDF file of your style frame, so a single document. The nice thing about Illustrator is you can export all 3 artboards and it comes out as one document. To do that, I go to Format and I choose PDF. Make sure all the artboards are selected so that all 3 come in as the single document. I'm going to go ahead and save this on the desktop. Now, when you're saving this out, click off the Preserve Illustrator Editing capabilities. That'll reduce the file size, and you already should have saved an .ai file or an Illustrator file of this, so you won't need to have that on. Click Save PDF. In Photoshop, you're going to work slightly differently. So there's no artboards. There's only a single frame here in Photoshop. So you're going to assemble groups of layers and turn their visibility on to export single frames. Here's what I mean. So I've got one layer for each frame. Now, if I exported that now, it would just be all that together. It would look like this. It wouldn't look like anything. So I have to unselect the layers that I don't want to see and just have the ones visible that I want to see for each frame, and I'll export this separately. For the first style frame, make visible all the layers you want to be visible for that style frame by clicking on the eye next to the layer. I only have one layer for this whole style frame. You'll probably have more. Then I'll go up to File, Save As, and again, you're going to save a master file of this as a Photoshop file into your project folder, so you have something to refer back to. And that'll include the layers. But for the assignment this week, for the style frame PDF you're going to export this format as Photoshop PDF. And I'll put that on the desktop as well. And I'm going to call this Photoshop 1. I'm going to unclick the layers because I don't want to have the layers included. That'll reduce the file size. So I'll save that one out as a PDF. And I'll make sure that Preserve Photoshop Editing capabilities is turned off. I'll follow suit the same way with the other 2 style frames. I'll make visible all the layers I want to include in that style frame. I'll go up to File, Save As, Photoshop PDF in the format. Make sure your layers are selected off first, and then click Save. Make sure Preserve Photoshop Editing capabilities clicked off, Save PDF. For the third style frame, I'll once again make visible all the layers that I want to show in that style frame. Go to File, Save As. PDF is my format in the Format menu. Unclick the layers. I'm going to save this one and change the name to 3. Press Save. Make sure Preserve Photoshop Editing Capabilities in the Options is unselected, unclicked. And make sure that Preserve Photoshop Editing Capabilities is unclicked and save the PDF. Now, if you're using the Photoshop method, you need to use Acrobat to combine all 3 files. So in Adobe Acrobat, I'm going to go up to File, Create, Combine Files into a single PDF. I'm going to click on the blue Add Files button. I'm going to select all 3 and add files. Click on the Combine to create a binder. So now you have one document with these 3 keyframes in it. But you're not done yet. You need to save it as a PDF. So I'll save as into the desktop. I'm going to call this Style Frames. Now I'm ready to submit them. Now it's time to submit it in Blackboard. Go to the assignment submission link, click on it. Go to Browse My Computer. Find the PDF file. This is the single PDF file you created either from Photoshop or from Illustrator. Click Open. Make sure it's attached below. And somewhere in the comments or in the text box, describe your visual metaphor in 1 sentence. When you're ready, press Submit.